going on, everybody? Welcome into the Wednesday, January 8th, 2024 edition of the Daily Energy Newsbeat Stand-Up. Here are today's top headlines. First up, why would President Trump want to annex Greenland? Is it for the weather or the critical minerals? Next up, Trump considers executive order to protect natural gas appliances. Sticking on the Trump theme, Trump says he wants no wind turbines built during his administration. We'll then jump over to Stu's favorite country, Russia. They decide to Russia gas cutoff stokes tension in Moldova. Very interesting. And then finally, the EU scoops up record amounts of Russian LNG, according to our friends over at Bloomberg. Stu will then toss it over to me. I will quickly cover what happened in the oil and gas markets and then talk a little bit about another midstream acquisition, this by Phillips 66 acquiring the Epic NGL assets from Epic Midstream. Some interesting thoughts I've got there, Stu. As always, I'm Michael Tanner, joined by Stuart Turley. Where do you want to begin?
I'll tell you what, this was nuts on the news desk, Michael. Why would President Trump want to annex Greenland? Is it for the weather or for the critical minerals?
Let me guess. I don't know. Oh, that's a tough one. Can you help explain it to me?
Well, when you take a look, if you look at the article, we have Russia right over the Arctic, and then you have Greenland and you have Canada. My father had an emergency when he was flying a B-47 on nuclear alert and had to dump all of his fuel and land in Greenland and almost ran off the runway. Is a very short runway in Greenland, by the way. So if you take a look, it is right there. And for our national security interest, in the presser today, President Trump was standing there and he says there's all these Russian boats and there's all these Chinese boats. China has actually started a mining company, and it has been mining critical minerals in Greenland, stealing them pretty much at almost nothing, and it is amazing. I also embedded in here from Donald Trump Jr. a little bit of a town hall that they had in there, and all the Danish people were like, "We're in, go ahead." So this is absolutely a hoot. I did not think this was all there. So I asked on X, I asked Grok, what kind of minerals are there? Lithium, graphite, niobium, platinum group metals, titanium, cobalt, zirconium, uranium, iron ore, zinc, gold. This is like exactly what we need. But I want to go on record, Michael. We do not need to be strip mining that up there without taking care of the environment, even if it is more expensive, and we don't need to have whales doing the work. I know you don't have a high regard for whale life, but I have a high regard for children and the environment, and I think that we would be better at it than China or in, looking at how that. It's all about the critical minerals, but it's also the ships. I agree with President Trump on this. I think it's going to be kind of interesting.
Well, I think this article also points out Green Lives Matter, Ultrafrog 17. I love this tweet here. The reason why President Trump wants to buy Greenland, it's all about his trade war with China. And this is where I think, and I completely agree with this analysis here, it's got nothing to do with, in my opinion, strategic military capabilities. I mean, sure, we've already got a base there. So maybe we can make the base. Yes. Maybe we can make the base a little bigger, a little warmer. Who knows? It's all for the critical minerals, and it really has more to do with hurting China than helping us. I mean, all these critical minerals are theoretically used for the energy transition. We're about to cover two stories in which Trump said, we ain't doing the energy transition anymore. So why do we need these minerals if we aren't going to use them for all of the stuff because Trump's about to ban it all? Wait a second. It's because it's all part of the economic war with China. Now, personally, I'd rather get into an economic war with China than a hot war with China.
Exactly.
Ideally, we get into no war with China. But if we got to do something, at least make it this. So that's my read on all this.
Well, we also need the critical minerals because, like we talked about on the Monday show, gallium. We don't whatever it was for the minerals. We don't even have that. So Anyway, all right, let's go to the next one here. Trump considers executive order to protect natural gas appliances. They're eating the cats and the dogs and they're cooking them with gas. We can't have that. Despite the illegal efforts to ban access and use of natural gas in our industry, it's hard at work to keep life an essential, affordable, and reliable, especially during the extreme cold we are facing. Harbert, she is the Karen Harbert, president of the American Gas Association. The EIA said in a 2020 residential consumption survey, 61% of American households use natural gas for at least one energy use. That is critical. The cost alone would be incredible. When you consider how expensive it is, I don't know that President Trump is going to be able to cut our energy costs in half in the first year based off of the stuff that the Biden administration has left landmines for.
Well, no, he definitely won't be able to cut it that much. It's going to be a slow burn. I think a lot of what he needs to do is get some of this LNG stuff turned around. But the problem is you start all of a sudden exporting LNG, costs are going to go up here because now all of a sudden we're going to be sending all of our natural gas overseas. So it is a little bit give it a pull. I mean, I think this is a no-brainer. I think what Trump is doing is trying to counteract what he sees as Biden basically trying to screw him in the last 20 days here of the administration. We already, I covered this yesterday on the solo show. There's just a lot of red meat getting thrown out to everybody on the aisle, a little bit here, a little bit there. But, again, do I think they're actually going to ban natural gas? No. But you never know, and we might as well take the protection. Here's a quote from the Karen Harbert. She's the president of the American Gas Association. It speaks volumes when an order from the White House is needed to stop our own government from banning natural gas furnaces and water heaters. I don't think there are enough mice in the world to power treadmill-style furnaces. So, we're save the mice, protect our natural gas furnace. That needs to go on a t-shirt.
And we know Americans are not getting on the treadmill.
Trust me, we know that. All right, let's move to wind turbines. What's up here?
Trump says he wants no wind turbines built in his administration. Michael, if you had asked me on our Sunday show that we recorded, if I had this on my bingo card this week, would Trump buy Greenland and would he ban windmills? No, I did not. We are going to have, this is a quote from today's presser, we are going to have a policy where no windmills are being built, Trump said in a lengthy tirade against wind power during a conference at his Mar-a-Lago residence in Florida. I did not write that. That was from the article. They litter our country, Trump said. Nobody wants them and they're very expensive. Here's where, if they were fiscally responsible and they actually worked, I'd be almost all in on them because it would reduce fossil fuels, but they're not fiscally responsible from day one. And then the waste that these things have. Now, he is not picking a fight, Michael. This needs to be known. He's not picking a fight with the solar industry because he goes, the solar panels are okay. So he's kind of drawn a line in the sandbox between wind and solar, and he's kind of going, I'm going to take out wind at the throat. I did not see that one coming.
Well, because you could argue that solar has some use. There is a sliver of use. In my opinion, wind has no use. The only thing wind has, there's two reasons why wind is good. One, offshore wind kills the whales. We know we love that. And number two, to some of these, there are some farms and some ranches in Oklahoma, Kansas.
I got a whale pod calling in right now.
Yeah. PETA's calling in. They're shutting us down. Demonetize. But second, you also have to realize there is a small segment of the ranching community in North Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas that does rely on the surface use damages and relies on this for revenue. So I don't know how you obviously he's saying no more should be built. I was looking this up today, there's about 8 to 10 gigawatts of wind power already approved and in the process of being built. So who knows what happens to that. But there is a small sliver of revenue that does go to these landowners who, need it, especially if you're living in a place that, it's hard to ranch, your crops don't really grow. How else do you make money? Throw up a wind farm? I wouldn't do it, but, you paid me enough money. I'd throw a wind farm in my backyard. Who knows?
And it's a big problem that we're about to see in the next 5 years, Michael, is that the wind farms that are out there that go broke, who cleans that crap up? It's about $500,000 per windmill to take it down and get it out of there. Who's going to reclaim the land? It's about to be a huge issue. Let's go to the next story here. Russia's gas cutoff stokes tensions in Moldova. This is really a big piece of the energy security out there, and it ties into the following story with EU scoops up record amount of Russian LNG. It was a blow to Moscow, underscoring it when Russian natural gas stopped flowing to across Ukraine. That pipeline is a critical point for Ukraine's resource. That pipeline last year in 2024 generated 5% of their GDP in Ukraine. And now Ukraine is not going to have any power coming out. They have one of the largest power plants in the world, and it's being shut down right now because it's being held by Russia. So Ukraine is going to have some serious problems on this, and Moldova on this is one of the ones right there is seeking to diversify its energy sources and reduce its dependence on Russia, but this will take time and could be costly. They should have been doing it over the last several years.
Yeah, it goes back to what President Trump said in 2016, 2017, when he went over to the EU and said,
yes,
hey, you got to, you're getting high off your own supply here. You better diversify and make sure that you can't have this happen. So it's never good when if you're a business and you have one revenue source, I'd be in trouble. If the government is your only revenue source, I'd be wary of Doge right now. Similar to energy supply. If you only have one supplier of energy, I would be scary. Let's stick in Russia, though. The EU seems to be still buying it.
They are. They did not wean off. Russia is the number 2 supplier of natural gas, LNG, to Russia. And it is just amazing to me that they could not wean themselves off. Here's a quote out of the article. Europe still needs gas as all of its efforts to wean itself from Russian gas have been unsuccessful. Tatiana Orlova, economist at Oxford Economics, told the news agency it will probably end up buying more Russian LNG to make up for the drop in natural gas imports off of the pipeline.
Interesting. We're going to start calling you. We're going to start calling you Stu Turley, economist.
Economics. I'll tell you, this is just about which way. Okay, 50 cents from a pipeline, $30 from LNG for the same amount. It's just absolutely nuts. They're going to be paying more for it. The economic damage to the EU, I don't know that they'll be able to recover. I don't know that the UK will be able to recover.
Well, they can't, because currently LNG is becoming basically the largest use in terms of energy globally. Putin knows that. He announced in December we're going to continue to increase and just start flooding the market with it. They basically control all of the major pipelines that flow in and out of the EU. So again, it's having a diversified portfolio in terms of where you buy and sell your energy. But Russia is just, it all comes down to Russia's just lucky. They have a lot of gas, so they're going to be able to export that no problem. Let's go ahead and jump over to finance, Stu. But before we do that, let's go ahead and pay the bills. As always, thank you for checking us out here on the world's greatest website, www.energynewsbeat.com. All the news and analysis you just heard is brought to you by said website. Stu and the team do a tremendous job making sure that website stays up to speed. Everything you need to know to be the tip of the spear when it comes to the energy and the oil and gas business. Go ahead and hit that description below. All the links and the timestamps, links to the articles. Check us out on Substack, theenergynewsbeat.substack.com. We are starting to roll out some paid-only content, so if you want to get access to some exclusive white papers that we are writing, go ahead and become a paid subscriber. It's the best way to support the show. We'll be rolling out, is it tomorrow we rolling out our Mines Mineral Model white paper?
Tomorrow or Thursday. I'm not sure which. It's gonna be one of those days.
Tomorrow or Thursday, we'll be rolling out our the infamous Mines Mineral Model white paper, where we dive into all things critical minerals. I should have thrown a little Greenland in there. Maybe it would have changed the analysis a little bit. And then the following week, we will be writing and releasing a follow-up article, which basically takes that mines mineral model and applies a pretty basic capital asset pricing model in order to understand maybe where are some great underserved markets that could use some investment. So we will cover all that and a bag of chips here, guys. Let's go ahead and quickly jump over and cover the markets here. S&P 500, tough day for the markets. It was down 1.1 percentage points. NASDAQ down 1.7 percentage points. Amazon got hammered today, really dragging the NASDAQ down. 2 and 10-year yields. 2-year yield was down about up about a half a percentage point. 10-year yield up 1.3 percentage points. So, what that means, I'll let you guys decide. Their dollar index was up about 0.3 percentage points. Bitcoin was down about 5 percentage points, 96.85. And we did see crude oil have a pretty great day. Opened the day somewhere below 73.50. We closed just above 74.50, and now we've spiked as the afternoon trading session is opened. We're all the way over 74.61. So prices are running. Brent oil 76.20. Natural gas up about 0.3 percentage points, $3.45 as we record this, about 5:01 here Central Time on Tuesday. It's going to be very interesting. We did see some oil sanctions on some Chinese, specifically China's Shangdao ports have been blacklisted. All the incoming and outgoing vessels in there have been banned, so that puts an interesting squeeze on specifically where supply is going. We also have seen some indications that China demand is going to come up. We did see, again, as we talked about yesterday, that the official selling price in that Saudi Arabia will be selling to China is going up. We did see API crude oil inventory drop today. I'm pulling them up right now. We did see it was forecasted to drop by about 250,000 barrels. It actually dropped 4.0 million. So the API's guesstimate of the EIA's crude oil inventory, which you will obviously get as you listen to this on Wednesday. So part of the reason why you're seeing prices right now sort of spike and most likely we'll see that rise overnight. So big draw when it comes to oil reserves. The only other thing interesting, Stu, that I saw, Phillips 66 to acquire Epic NGL midstream assets in the Permian. This is a pretty interesting deal. Phillips 66 went ahead and inked up a deal to acquire the Epic NGL Y-grade G LLC and the Y-grade LP, which is basically the entire combined entity, for $2.2 billion with a B dollars. The reason for the GP and LP obviously is you've got the GP that managed it. The LP, you do this as a classic private placement. There's kind of two sides to the equation. Pretty interesting quote there from Mark Lashier. He's the chair and chief executive over at Phillips 66. This transaction bolsters Phillips 66 position as the leading integrated downstream energy provider. This transaction optimizes our Permian NGL value chain, allows Phillips 66 to provide producers with comprehensive flow assurance, reaching fractionation facilities near Corpus Christi, Sweeney, Mont Belleau, Texas, and expect to deliver attractive returns in excess of our hurdle rates. To give you an idea, these Epic Midstream NGL operations comprise of two different fractionation units with each of a capacity of about 170,000 barrels near Corpus Christi, about 350 miles of purity distribution pipelines, an NGL pipeline about 885 miles long, and a capacity of about 175 barrels per day. This NGL pipeline links Delaware, Midland, and the Eagle Ford basins now all the way to those fractionation facilities and Phillips 66 already existing Sweeney hub, which provides for a bunch of different distillations and stuff. Basically, they're able to increase its pipeline capacity to about 250,000 barrels per day and has a sanctioned second expansion to about 350,000. Again, guys, this goes back with my theory of you're going to see a lot more pipeline M&A happen because these valuations are never going to be higher. If more pipelines are going to get built because of less regulations, this $2.2 billion acquisition may be $1.5 billion or $1 billion in 3 years. Now, why can Phillips 66 absorb this? Well, because they have an initial infrastructure. If you're able to buy something, lower the cost of production, but keep revenue high, well, now you've created margin for yourself that can allow you to afford afford a larger, a quote unquote larger valuation. No private equity company is going to go buy these midstream assets because they don't necessarily have the ability to do that unless they can roll it in with a larger, more integrated company. So I think you're going to see a lot of these larger midstream already conglomerates be able to pick off some of these smaller ones due to this fact. So I think this is just another cog in the wheel of I would be short midstream, long LNG facilities. As always, guys, you do not take investment advice from us. Maybe Stu, definitely not me. That's all I've got, Stu. What else are we missing today? What should people be worried about? Is it about to freeze these next couple days?
It's been freezing where I'm at. So
it's been okay. It's been cold. Let's be very careful here. It's not that cold.
It's been 5 below or 5 above with wind chill. I call that pretty toasty.
That's like when people say I'm 17 and a half. If you got to throw the half in there, then you're not that old. You got to throw wind chill in there.
I have no hair.
That's
wind
a good
chill
point.
with my hat. Okay, look, you got to have a hat.
It's a good point. I am Eskimo. I'm part Eskimo.
Yeah, you've got a fur coat year round, dude.
I do. So, all right, guys, with that, we'll let you get out of here, get back to work. Stay warm out there, guys. And for Stuart Turley, I'm Michael Tanner. We'll see you tomorrow, folks.